Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome to my studio. I am Daniel Norton. So today we're going to talk about food, which is probably not something I should be doing right before I eat because I'll probably talk really fast to get it over with. But no, I get a lot of questions about food photography, and I've talked about it a little bit before. This one just came up again recently, and they were talking about it. In fact, I think I've probably suggested this before, and now I'm going to tell you not to do it. The idea was that they were asking specifically about equipment, but I'm not going to get into that because I feel like that really varies. But you know, they want to they go to restaurants. They want to photograph the food to use for a food photography portfolio. You know, what kind of light can they bring because a flash is a lot to bring, or whatever. So I'm going to start this off by saying I don't think that's the best way to do it. When I mentioned that before, I'm pretty sure I did when I was talking about food bloggers. You know, I was talking more about like just getting your feet wet, like using your phone, you're using a blog. If you're actually going to create a food photography portfolio, you really want to have as much control as possible, which means you want to either make a deal with the restaurant separately, or a food stylist separately, or just do it yourself. Going to a restaurant, having the food brought to you, and then photographing it puts so many things out of your control. Part of that, of course, is the actual food, because sure, the restaurant's going to try to make the food as appealing as possible, but appealing for a photo and appealing for your eye to eat is not always the same. And the second thing, which is what the question was really about, is the light, right? You have no control over the light in the restaurant, kind of. So it's going to put you in a position where you're just kind of struggling against a lot of different things. So, but that being the case, let's say that I am going to go someplace and try to shoot some food that I buy. I would probably lean towards going to places where the opportunity to use natural light was there. That is, go to a cafe that has, let's say, outdoor seating where you're under umbrellas, whatever, or they're near a window, or possibly, I know I've done this for my Instagram, whatever, you know, where like I go to a coffee shop that has like, you know, the glass front with the little thing there and you're sitting watching the crowd outside. If you go to a place like that, you can put your cup down, you know, your nice fancy cappuccino that they made the little heart and down with the cookie leaning on it, and make yourself some simple pictures. This is not going to be super deluxe, fancy food. Obviously, they're not going to be generally in restaurants like that. You know, that easy, but you can do simple stuff that way. So if that's really what you're down to, then that might be your best bet. I absolutely think it's just not the best idea to bring some kind of light into a nice restaurant, which is what I'm assuming, right? I mean, if somebody's writing me this and they're talking about a restaurant, not just like a cool coffee with whatever, then they're talking about some kind of fancy restaurant. Nobody wants you to be in the restaurant. They're eating, you know, and they're over there having their romantic dinner with their significant other, and you're there flashing or turning on some bright lights so you can light up your, you know, risotto. It's like, just don't do that, right? Go somewhere else where the risotto is in better light, right? So yeah, this is, I mean, it could be a fun experiment, you know, to like look at your food and use your phone or whatever just to kind of see like how important the lighting is. And when you look at food photography, how the simple light that is often used is actually really good, right? Compared to light that you just see in space. Not in like spaces that you're in, not like outer space. Because the color of it is controlled, the direction of it is controlled, and even the texture of it, right? By using different types of diffusions or using like cookies, for instance. So advice would be, if you are just going to go to a restaurant and try to shoot it, go to a restaurant during the day and go when they've got like go to brunch, right? So you get a fancy brunch and you ask to sit outside or ask to sit near the window and just use natural light. Then you can pull off, you know, busting out a little, like holding up your napkin or whatever for a reflector, and it's not distracting people. But I definitely don't recommend showing up at a restaurant with some little LED panel or, you know, a flash and trying to photograph your lunch. That just seems like it'd be distracting to people that are there trying to eat. And also, you know, again, consider that if you can take some halfway, let's say you do want to work for this Italian restaurant. So you go and you make some risotto. It's not going to be as laid out as good or whatever, and you make it at home and you photograph it. You could always bring that to that restaurant, right? And be like, hey, obviously what you prepare is much better than this, but you can see what I can do lighting and stuff wise. So can we make a deal? You know, and you can go from there. And that might be a good way to do it instead of just kind of trying to sneak shots in when you're trying to eat. I just don't feel like that's the best way to do it. And I'll finish this off by saying, I met this couple, I don't know if they were a couple as in a relationship, but it was a couple people. And they were, God, if I can remember the name now, something foodie, but they had a food blog. And actually we discovered them when we were doing a a photo walk for Adorama. They just walked up and they saw those model being photographed and they were, what's going on? And we started talking to them. They came back to Adorama and I was talking to them. And it turns out they travel all around. You know, they're travelers. They like to travel together. They're friends that travel or whatever. And they would love to, and they love to eat. So they started basically exactly that, like a food thing. And that's kind of what they were looking for light, because they had the same issue. They showed me all the work they had, and it was mostly what I just described. Near windows, in outdoor cafes, and they were like, we'd love to do it inside, how can we light it? And they actually had a similar question. And of course, I basically just gave the same answer I did there. You could light it with this, this, and this, but I would definitely ask first and not just show up at a restaurant. And of course, they agreed. So anyways, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, subscribe, ring the bell so you get all the notifications, and I'll see you next time.